This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
What's your favorite Portuguese Christian hymn? Because I got a couple, but what's the first one that jumps out?
The first one that comes to mind for me is Sunshine on the Seashore.
But it's in Portuguese.
But it's in Portuguese. Yeah.
Meio Jesus Cristo.
Yeah. My second favorite is probably Three Sets of Footprints. It's more of a spoken word.
Oh, that's a good one. No, silly.
Because
that's I was
here's the thing: there's 3 sets of footprints because one is me and one is God and one is fucking ayahuasca. So that is the Portuguese ayahuasca hymn that I am comfortable with, and that's the one I know by heart. I don't want to recite it for you now. I know that would take a long time. We only have an hour in the podcast. Yeah, I don't want to bore the listeners. BroTime.
Oh, how are you with the no boozing with that?
Good. I had one thought right after it happened, just escaping kind of idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a thought, and it popped in, and I was very aware of it. I was like, huh.
Yeah. It's amazing. I haven't been triggered. The only time I was triggered is Tiffany said something, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, wow, I haven't felt this way in a very long time.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was an intentional trigger. It was let's see what happens. Right. And the thought came up, and it was like, yeah, that's the thing I can do. And then I thought about the day after, and then the days preceding, and then no.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me to numb myself that much to guilt myself for that long.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even, and again, it's easy to sit there and say that, but it's like I don't see a scenario in which even the payoff, I'm going to feel so bad the next fucking day. Even if I have zero hangover.
Not only will it not solve anything, it will make it worse.
Well, I will have, even if I can guarantee no hangover, the way I am with fucking how I treat my own self, I am going to treat myself so fucking bad for those 3 shots of Jameson or whatever the fuck it was.
Right.
So it's not only do you physically relapse, but you mentally relapse.
Just fucking set yourself back and just start doing all that shit again. Yeah.
There is a show I watched on Netflix called Lock and Key, and it's a fun
I
show.
love Lock and Key. Yeah.
And it's, by no means is it about this, but the mom is a recovering alcoholic, and I think within the second season she gets sober. Third season she starts to have these flashback memories of her being a shitty mother. They can go inside their own brains and look at their memories and shit. So she goes inside her brain because she wants to see her ex-husband who passed away, and she's like, oh, there's my husband. But she sees herself drunk around a fire, the campfire, and kind of ignoring her son.
Right.
And treating him kind of like shit. And then that puts her in this spiral, even though she's viewing her drunk self. She's not her drunk herself.
Right.
The memory makes her feel like shit again.
Yeah.
And so then she goes on this path of let me just revisit all the shitty times I was a shitty mom. I missed the fucking dance because I was drunk and hungover. I missed the fucking school play, blah, blah, blah.
Let the spiral commence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the daughter said something very beautiful once she found out this is what her mom was doing. She's like, you're the only person that I know that could relapse without actually drinking. And it's we got to remember that stuff. We're mentally putting ourselves through this shit. One of the messages I got last when I was in Sacramento was the experiences you went through are important because you had to learn a lesson, and that experience, as treacherous as it may have been, was the severity of which you needed to have to learn the lesson. Now, take the lesson, please, because you went through some shit to get it, but forget the fucking details that went around you getting that lesson. Leave the story behind. Leave that. That shit serves no purpose. Me reminding myself constantly that I was a shitty dad for a very long time does me no good because I'm better now.
Yeah.
The feeling and the understanding of the lesson that I learned from that. Yes, please. I don't want to feel that again. So let's understand that's the impetus moving forward. But if I just keep thinking about the games that I missed with my kids or the shit that I didn't do and the times I didn't take them to school, it's I'm never going to get out of fucking bed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny that thing you said about Lock and Key is you can relapse without a drop of alcohol. I feel like I don't have an alcohol addiction problem, but that mentality, I have an addiction to that mentality of just treating myself like shit, reviewing old things I did, things I said, situations I should have done this, but I did this. It will keep me up at night.
Right.
Just and I feel like that is an addiction in itself. And I think I probably have my own substances I use to kind of numb that. Alcohol is just not one of them. But yeah, that mentality is an addiction, and it's really hard to break.
Yeah. There's in the line of work I'm in now, like I just, I have sessions and clients and things like that, but also I'll just have coffee with people. Like people like, hey, can we just get coffee? I just need to talk. I'm like, yeah, please. So there's a number of individuals that I just like kind of chat with, and by no means am I mentoring them. It's just, like I remember people in my life when I was younger offering their you're like, hey, just have a conversation, just grab a cup of coffee, and like that being so meaningful, like just that wisdom that's imparted, just shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Again, not saying I got the wisdom, but it's just cool to have conversations.
Well, a lot of people don't have. I mean, we've said this before, and I've been fortunate. I have friends such as you two that I could talk to about shit like this. Obviously, not probably on the fucking podcast. But it's just like have that. Not a lot of people have that. Even if they have a shitload of friends, they don't have that fucking ability to like. Besides talk about fucking football and wings. Right.
Yeah. So I try to make myself available for that.
1 and 1A, football and wings.
Yes, exactly. Hand in hand. So this gentleman I was talking to is in his early 20s, and he asked me, he always asks me these really great questions, but a lot of his questions are like, do I feel like he's in a good position for his age? And so it's like, it's hard to answer.
Oh, that's tricky,
so
man.
I try to, get him to answer them for him. But he asked me one time, this couple weeks ago, he's like, do you have any regrets in life? Do you regret anything you've done, or are you like, because you're in a good place right now. I'm like, yes, right now I'm in a good place. But, I've got failed relationships. I've got child abandonment. I was an alcoholic. I abused drugs for a number of years. I dove into my job and abandoned my family. Like I did all these things. But if I look back, I don't regret any of that. Yeah. The only thing I would change is the pain I caused somebody else. Right? Yeah. I don't want to cause people pain, but I had to be a shitty dad. I had to just dive into jobs. I had to not be a present spouse or father to be who I am now.
That's your journey of learning.
Exactly.
That's so, the stops you had to make to get to where you are.
Right. I would not have changed a damn thing. As hard as it is to look back and see that trail of tears, if you will, there's also a lot of good shit that happened. But like, maybe I'll change my answer tomorrow. But for that answer, then it was like, no, I can't, because I'm really happy with who I am now, and I see no other path to me getting to this place, rather than that trail of tears that I left in my wake. But at the same time, what I would consider as I caused pain to somebody else could have been the impetus they needed to find something else in their life and put them on a path that they needed. Again, it's not me doing the thing, but like, we never know. Like, this is chapter 2 of a 1,000 chapter fucking book. Like, we have no idea what this moment is going to be 10 chapters from now. It could be the best thing we ever had, or it could be like, oh shit, yeah, okay, cool. Let's regroup and figure this out. Yeah. Right? So
I could build a city with the rubble from the bridges I have burned.
That's a great fucking line. Good for
I could build a fucking city. And I was thinking about it recently because I've been doing some new work and like kind of in the same vein of like, I don't regret the bridges I burned. I kind of regret how it made me feel or how it made them feel. But those were relationships that were not sustainable, and I let them go for longer than they should have, and it ended in a nuclear explosion when it could have ended softer, or you know what I mean. But I let it go for too long. Things were left unsaid. Resentment started to build. Anger started to build. So I'm just quiet. And I'm going to nuke you out of nowhere. Like on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm just going to end everything.
Well, I mean, it's kind of in my mind always been a fruitless pursuit to sit there and live and like about like regretting others shit. But like, let's be honest, there's things I would have done differently.
Yeah,
like, it's
totally.
Like, there's no fucking way. I'm not batting 1,000. No one is.
Well, but the point,
that, like, I wouldn't change those things. I wouldn't change those.
Yeah,
things.
I know. I mean, I get that. I get that.
The point of doing things poorly in the past is I look back on it now and being like, if this situation pops up again, I now have a choice to do it differently because I know how that feels, and I don't know if I'd like to recreate that.
Like, remember that fucking time I got decked in the face at the bar, and I was the biggest problem I had with it was that I had no fucking idea why, so I couldn't learn from it.
Yeah, that fucked you up for a while.
Like it still actually pisses me off.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? I've talked enough shit. I deserve to get decked in the face. Like, but it's like.
Well, was it a time when you were drinking and that's why you don't remember, or
No,
don't?
nobody knows why.
No,
nobody knows why.
Just someone came up and punched you in the face.
We were outside smoking cigarettes. And
What?
Nobody knows why.
It was the Jet, right? Right outside
Yeah,
the
it was
Jet.
at the Jet. And I was making an observation about how sketchy it was, and somebody was like, "I'll show you sketchy," but it was like. No, literally, like,
I don't mean to laugh, but that's wild.
Nobody in my group knows why. I don't know why. I have no idea why I got... But, again, karmic balance. I've talked enough shit to strangers at bars. I've almost got decked before.
Yeah.
And this was just a build
I had nothing... What do you learn from that? It's
Right.
like, okay, so don't talk shit to a stranger. Okay, I fucking thought I learned that when I almost got decked the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so it's like, I still... the whole point is, like, all these experiences, good, bad, or otherwise, it's like fucking... maybe you don't need to learn from the good ones, but maybe it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do to make more of those good things happen?
Right.
Well, that's beautiful, and I think being aware of the times you don't show up the way you want to, again, not beating yourself up for it, just being aware of that can help you lean more towards those times that you're like, oh, I was really proud of the way I showed up. That was great,
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't know, like okay, so on the idea that eldership isn't being passed down like it has been, years before, whatever, generations before, we don't have a lot of guidance on how to have conversations and how to counsel people in tragic situations. So, but everybody watches TV. So a lot of times we just regurgitate what we see on TV.
100%.
Oh, it's okay. No, stop crying. It'll be fine.
Right.
All these things that like we feel because we see people do it on TV, and it's like, oh, well, that's how you comfort people.
Right.
Not knowing that's the most triggering thing you can do. Right. But again, that person's not meaning anything negative or malice by it. They just don't know what to say because nobody's ever really held that space for them.
So
right?
I had some friend who was going through some shit, and he was going through a divorce, and my other friend was, trying to console him, and this is his wife now. We're at lunch, like, sitting there going, yeah, so-and-so was sitting there trying to console him, and all he could say was, yeah, man, that sucks. Yeah, man, that sucks.
Right.
And, like, the believe me didn't mean any fucking negative and was trying to be there for, quote, his boy, but literally that's all he had.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I'm like, it does suck.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I mean, when you don't fucking... And, I mean, in that dude's defense, I don't think he's ever really, like... Now he probably does, but I don't think he's ever had to, like, manage, like a group of people to where you're going to need to kind of, if you want to be good at it, or at least competent at it, learn some of those skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that separates the okay managers from the good ones, is if you have at least some of that plus an actual competency. Well, when I'm just talking about restaurants, but you know what I mean? It's just like, you have to learn that shit. My friends were like, oh, you became way nicer. I'm like, well, I fucking had to be. I couldn't just be like, fuck you, I'm the best server, fuck you.
Even though that's what I was thinking the whole time.
It's still great. It still works.
That's the truth. I just kept doing myself.
One of my old bosses, Jeff, I talk about a lot, told me something like that. And it's something like kind of like we're talking about now. It's like you don't know how to deal with shitty situations until you go through them. And unfortunately, you have to go through them to learn how to deal with them, or take some really good courses on how to manage people with that. But when I first started managing, I had to have a conversation, like a coaching conversation with somebody about like performance. And this is the most awkward thing because like I went from being on that same level, staff, to being manager, and so this is a person that I worked with for a number of years.
Shit
and
sucks.
Yeah, dude.
But his point was, he's like, yes, I can have that conversation. It'll probably be more impactful from me because I am the GM. But you need to learn how to do this. And the more you do it, the less awkward it gets. And if you start with somebody that you know and love, you're going to be very soft in the way you do that. And you'll have a good gauge. You're not just going to go off and be like, I'm a manager now. You need to fucking shower more, you son of a bitch.
Right.
Blah, blah, like get the ego excited. Because like I know this human, right? And so I was very soft in the beginning. I had to have a follow-up conversation with him, which made it even more awkward, which is like, how am I never going to do this again?
Yeah.
How do I make this conversation
the deodorant conversation.
Yeah.
The deodorant conversation, which I had to do every summer back when we worked there.
Oh, yeah, that's awkward.
The way in which I had to do that, or the way in which I found maybe not the most effective, but effective enough, was, hey, so-and-so, do you wear deodorant? Yes. you should probably do a couple more passes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think that was the best way that I found to just like, you know, hey man, you fucking smell like shit.
Yep.
Because that's really what I want to say, but you can't say that.
Right. There was someone that got hired at one of the other locations of the restaurant, and someone came in that works for the restaurant last night, and the new hire apparently it just reeks of cologne. Like just
dude.
overdone. Yeah. And
I'm a cool
all of the
water-dated off
managers
guy.
appointed this one person who's not a manager because this person is a very like straightforward, I'm just going to tell you how it is.
Hey,
and so they're like, I've been assigned.
He's polishing a brandy glass right now.
So like I've been assigned their first shift, and I have to let them know about their cologne situation. And I was like, I don't know how I would even begin to broach that.
Yeah.
And that's not even a BO situation. That's just a cologne situation. But I'm always like, ooh.
So, and again, I never did fine dining or any of that shit. That's obviously not my style. But with cologne, it was always like at times like when you couldn't wear it at coffee because it can get into the fucking beans.
Right. Yeah.
But like just in general, like you could just say like
food service rules.
Like,
sorry,
yo, dog, it fucking fucks with the ambiance of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well,
Believe
and even
me,
in
Polo
offices.
Sport, another shout out, Old Cologne, Polo Sport.
Yeah.
Polo Sport.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I can't remember which company it was, but I worked for a company where there was a perfume and cologne, like you cannot wear it into work because we're all in a very shared space. It's small.
Yeah.
Some people have allergies. Some people are
We need
sensitive.
to
Like
get
it's
you
just
that
across the
job.
board. Like
That job straightening the boxes on that assembly line. That video you sent me.
I know.
That's-
Just that lady half asleep, just straightening the
Just-
boxes
I like,
out.
okay,
Dream.
So, no, I understand that your dream job, like your favorite job, was like taking staples out of fucking paper for like 8 hours a day. But like that lady who's for the image of radio or podcast, it was an assembly line, and her job while she sat there, literally leaning against whatever the fuck, like a pillow, was to straighten these cardboard boxes that were on this assembly line, just like an inch and a half.
Just pushing a corner with
like,
the slightest effort.
Just to make them all flush.
Yeah.
So it looks good.
Dream.
Grocery store look.
What a dream.
God, there's no fucking way I could not. I mean, believe me, I actually didn't mind washing dishes. Just I fucking hated. Don't ask me to do ramekins.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, ramekins.
Butter.
Dude.
Ramekins.
Dude,
Yeah, dude.
the worst
There's no
thing
good way to
is-
clean a
Seriously,
ramekin.
I would
thing of
sign up for being a
ramekins-
dishwasher at least once or twice a week if I had no ramekins and none of those like fucking big pan things.
Plates and
So,
forks. Give them on over. Pots.
The thing that still terrifies me is having a rack of ramekins, and you think they're all in the right position, they're all facing down, and you go to give them the pre-wash spray, and all of a sudden one flips over, and you get that just right jet of water into the
right
ramekin
angle.
that it goes right into your mouth, and then all of a sudden you have used ranch in your mouth, and you're like,
and warm water, like watered down condiment.
nothing you
The
can
amount
do.
of like.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kill
it's
me.
just disgusting.
No.
Oh my god. The TikTok video you sent me, Robin, of Mattress Mack, and that.
Well, that guy's a Houston legend.
Well-
I'm not from Houston, but
Okay, so,
I know about Mattress Mack.
Yeah, I grew up with Mattress Mack. So in
Bets
Texas,
$1 million on the World Series, Houston Astros every year.
yeah, he's crazy, right? But in Texas, there's a thing. I think we've
I
talked
gotta
about this
send
before.
to you, it's great.
But there's a thing where mattress stores have just the most insane commercials. Like
Yeah.
they like light shit on fire, chainsaw shit in half.
Kind of like
you know,
used
like-
car
Texas,
salesman
baby.
shit.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mattress Mack's been in the game since like the 70s, right?
No, he's
He's
I
like
know
90 now. Like,
he's the Houston Astros have been good in the last 10 years, so like he's been more on the forefront. But he's
Sure.
like, doesn't he give mattresses away too?
Oh, yeah.
Like if
He's
they win the
very-
World Series, so like he's a hitter in the community.
he's a local celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very giving in the community. He's got a lot of mob ties theoretically in the community.
Yes.
His furniture store is called Gallery Furniture.
He's made.
So
He's made.
Robin sends me a TikTok video of Mattress Mack's new commercial, and Mattress Mack is dressed like in this purple jumpsuit. He's got a purple bandana tied around his head, like very gangsterish, right? Stereotypical.
Dropping
gangsterish.
Jolly Ranchers.
Dropping Jolly Ranchers in a,
I've
in a
seen
white
this.
cup, pouring Sprite in, and then he's like talking about
I've
like
seen
all
this.
these local hip hop
He
dudes
mentions
and
Pimp C,
Lil
who
Keke.
died drinking lean,
Yes.
and he's like doing it like a mock
I glazed over on TikTok and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I was like,
up next.
Mattress
I'm not
Mack.
even.
I'm like,
gonna have
dude,
to go
that's
back and watch it
Mattress
now.
Mack. I
Dude.
clicked on this. I'm like, oh, dude. And then I'm just like, I clicked on the comments because I found this on Reddit, and it's just like,
It blew me away.
oh, and then like all these Houston people start shouting. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta send this to Adam. You know, Adam knows this shit, dude.
Man, that made me so happy.
Did
me
you
so
send that? Your
fucking
brother had
happy. Oh,
already
yeah.
seen it. Your
Well,
brother.
I haven't heard from Aaron yet, but I sent it to both Aaron and Andy.
Yeah.
And Andy hadn't seen it, and he was dying. Because, like, again, we grew up with this dude. I've been watching this guy since I was in fucking diapers.
That
my
is
God.
Gallery
wild.
furniture will save you money.
No,
And
but
all
just
this fucking
literally
shit,
like
man.
making drank and then just sitting there like Pimp C wouldn't. I could.
It
You know,
was-
some haters will give you a good deal.
Was it an
on-
actual commercial?
Yeah.
Okay, it
Yeah.
wasn't just a TikTok video.
No, this is
Wow.
That's the mattress store game in Texas. Like literally, it's
Just how crazy?
Over
How
the
how
top.
can we bump it up?
Sign
can
me
we
the
do
fuck up, dude. Like I would be
Fucking
all
hell.
about that
Seattle
shit.
could
I worked
never.
for JR
No,
Furniture. If
just-
all we did was talk shit about like Ashley Furniture or whatever the fuck the local ones are up here.
right. Yeah.
It'd be great. Start slinging mud like in an election year.
Oh my God.
I mean, Dick's Burgers, you got it right there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So
Like it's
funny.
sitting waiting for y'all to be making crazy
funny.
commercials.
So I sat with ayahuasca the other
Yeah.
day.
Oh yeah. Tell me.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this medicine for a long time. And if
I
anybody-
thought you had done it already.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Okay.
Right? So if you follow the podcast, these folks know obviously, but
The legions of fans out there
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
aware
we're
of-
aware.
aware of your journey, sir.
so love psilocybin as a big medicine. You
Yep.
know, do
Yeah.
that quite a bit. But it's been a little, maybe 2 years since I've sat with that medicine in a big way. You know, microdose and stuff like that. But you know, I've had the idea of wanting to sit with ayahuasca for a while. And I could feel that my ego was really driving that because it's like, well, if you do this, you might as well do that. And it's like, well, okay, I feel that, and I feel like there's a natural pull towards it, but I also feel like I'm pushing myself towards it. So I kind of backed off and was just like, let me just feel it out.
Yeah.
Because you and I are kind of addicts.
You don't
want
wanna
to
need it.
So there's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Exactly,
oh,
yeah.
hey, you know, you're really good at getting fucked up. So it's
Definitely.
like,
You
you
gotta
know,
be in the right
just checking
mindset.
another box.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
And so I met a guy right before COVID that runs a local ayahuasca church. And through this church, they meet, they drink ayahuasca, and they sing Portuguese Christian hymns for like 7 hours.
What's your favorite Portuguese Christian hymn? Because I got a couple, but what's the first one that jumps
The
out
first
to
one that comes to mind for me is "Sunshine on the Seashore."
But it's in Portuguese.
But it's in Portuguese. Yeah.
May you Jesus Christo.
Yeah. My second favorite is probably 3 sets of footprints. It's more of a spoken word.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. No, silly.
Because
That's 'cause I was
Flamenco
But here's the
guitar,
thing:
yes.
there's 3 sets of footprints because one is me and one is God and one is fucking ayahuasca. So that is the Portuguese ayahuasca hymn that I am comfortable with, and that's the one I know by heart. I don't want to recite it for you now. I know that would take a long
course. I
time.
mean,
We
that
only
was
have
the
an hour on the
ceremony, it'd be-
podcast. Yeah,
it
I
would
don't
be
want to
right.
like
Yeah,
bore the listeners. Yeah.
traditional.
Yeah.
You know, there's things we need to do ambiance wise
Yeah.
before we even try
Yeah.
to
Create the
Yeah.
container, you know,
Dude,
you know,
burn
yeah.
some myrrh. Is that something you
It
could
is
burn?
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally,
I know.
Yeah.
Frankincense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flaming Bush, also
Yep,
another
yep,
really
yep.
popular one.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got a quick joke. What's the difference between a gynecologist and a genealogist? Genealogist.
Oh, there's got to be something with. Oh wait, a gynecologist and a genealogist.
Yeah.
Oh, there's got to be a whole
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole punchline somewhere in there. I don't know.
Close. Not really. One looks up the family tree. The other looks up the family bush.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah,
There it
totally,
is.
Yeah.
Speaking of tree and bush, on the 7 Mile Bridge on the Florida Keys, that
Okay.
fucking thing, there is, I think it's Stan the tree and like fucking Martha the bush. Like these two fucking
Really?
like plants in the middle of fucking concrete.
Where's their
Set-
lean
dude.
commercial?
Plants,
Yeah.
man. They're so fucking resilient. But okay, so this couple years ago, this guy approached me, Portuguese hymns, ayahuasca church, and I'm like, that sounds great for you, but that doesn't sound like anything that I want to do because my Christian.
You lost me at
religion
hymns,
is
yeah.
what I told
Oh
her, right?
Yeah.
fuck yeah,
And,
that would have.
And so I was like, yeah, cool. It sounds awesome. And I
Yeah.
actually had him on the podcast. He was a great guy. I've sat with him with different medicines, but not that. And yeah, so not my time. And then maybe about a year and a half later, another opportunity came up, and it was very similar to that. It was a different church. It was somewhere else, like out of state. But again, I was like, the church aspect just doesn't get me. I'm not there. And then
talk about vulnerability.
Yeah.
It was some god.
That's
shit.
just gonna trigger the fuck out of me right before a trip.
Not cool at all,
yeah.
bro.
So then a couple weeks ago, I'm working with a new client, and after our session, he starts talking to me about the church of ayahuasca. They call it the Santa Daime. And I'm like, God damn it. I felt like Will Ferrell in Austin Powers. Like, 3 times! 3 times!
I'm quite badly burned.
I'm very burned.
But I'm
So,
still...
the 3rd time. So I'm like, fuck, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's feel this out. And I just, separate with Mon. And so, I'm like, okay, I'm on a journey. This is an opportunity for me to look at myself in a different way. So, and I haven't sat with big mushrooms in a long time. So, let me explore this.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to kill me.
Right.
Figure it out. So, I went to this person's house with 17 other people, and it was very it was very thematic.
Describe the demos of those 17 people, age range.
Age range, actually pretty dramatic. So I would say late 60s to mid 20s.
Okay, so
you're in
across the
middle,
board.
you're in the middle there.
Yeah.
And so, but it was regimented. Like there's like, hey, this person's gonna sing, or this person's gonna play guitar. We're gonna have these hymns. We're gonna sing. Here's the books. If you follow along, try to follow along. If you can't, that's fine. It's your first time. Just feel the experience. They call it a current, right? So we're all sitting around in a circle. There's in folding chairs. Again, not the experience that I thought that I would be stepping into with this medicine when I many years ago thought about this, but beautiful container. We're all wearing white, all this stuff. And so they do a little introduction, and then first serving of ayahuasca. And we sit down, and my man starts playing guitar, flamenco guitar, and all this stuff. And people start singing. I'm like, okay, cool. We're singing. I'm trying to follow along. I'm like, okay, got it. Stand up and start singing. Yeah, exactly. We're humming, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I start to feel like, okay, all right, feel the medicine start to work it in there.
How fast?
With about half an hour.
Okay.
And so we do that for almost like 2 hours.
Tea?
Yes.
Okay.
Tea. It's got like a little chocolatey taste to it. But it was beautiful, right? And I'm starting to feel the current that they talk about. And then we have our second helping. The guy's still playing. Everybody just kind of takes turns, goes, talks to, they call it the padrino. Have the serving, and then go back to the circle. And that second serving was like, hey, dude.
Good morning.
Man. And it was... So the whole event lasted 7 hours, and this person played guitar for 7 hours and drinking ayahuasca.
Holy shit!
Whoa.
I mean, that in and of itself, Jerry Garcia.
That
Super
is-
impressed.
Yeah.
Like I went up to him.
He deserves
afterwards
his
and was
own
like,
Portuguese hymn.
Hey man, like you're amazing guitarist. That was fantastic. But like, I see what you've done as a musician, seeing another musician and being in the state of mind that I
Just
see
constant
you.
music.
Good for you,
Bro.
Good for you. But yeah, so it was 7 hours of that. I ended up throwing up a little bit. I had to excuse myself from the circle and sit for a while. The experience going on inside me was very amazing.
That's closed eye visuals.
Yes, depth, very deep, very deep. And it was an awareness that I kept, consciousness that I kept that was kind of jarring to me, because like with mushrooms, you take that hero's journey and it just all of a sudden you're gone, right? You're still kind of understanding of what's happening, but there's no control.
Right.
And for this journey, it was almost like the medicine was getting familiar with me. Like we were like doing this dance almost. Like the visuals I was getting was like, it was like coming to me and like looking at me and then moving away. It was like almost an animal, like kind of approaching.
Like a living thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, checking out my, intentions and all this stuff. And so it was almost like this mutualistic dance of like, are we still, are we, this is
Are you
right?
ready?
Is this right?
You good?
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Other people got sick as well, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty common.
Yeah.
You've done
places all over.
peyote? Have you done peyote?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think my parents were telling me when they did peyote, you pretty much get sick with that too. That's like almost guaranteed.
A lot of those medicines will, and that's
Yeah.
part of it. It's a toxin.
Yeah.
Right? So
I
you're
mean,
basically
have
poisoning
you thrown
yourself
up on
in a way.
shrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty,
why
pretty
when
trippy looking at those stems again.
Well,
Yeah.
when I do that's why when I do big journeys, I can't eat them. I make a tea.
Yeah.
You can't eat 5 grams of mushrooms and feel good.
No,
at all.
no.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, so there's, I mean, so much to unpack, and I'm not doing the experience justice just by talking about it, but like it was extremely moving, and
Was
a
it
lot
as
of
life changing as you thought it was going to be, or like
I think-
as influential, or
I think beyond.
Yeah.
You
Really?
know, and I went in there with a big like not expectation of like, but like an
Seasoned.
awareness of like I said, okay, so just Mon and I are separating right now. So, you know, where I'm at in my journey, yes, that's sad. I'm aware of my emotions. I'm stepping into them. I'm not stopping myself from crying. I'm not stopping myself from being angry, but I'm trying to find understanding in that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But like the biggest parts of our life, the biggest impacts of our life happen when change happens.
Yeah.
And change is so fucking hard, right? But if we can be aware through change and understand that there's an outcome from change, it can give us that wherewithal to like weather the change, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not growing with your feet in the sand looking at the ocean. That's where the integration after the growth happens, right? This is the time where like shit is going sideways in my life. It's okay. We're gonna figure it out, but evolution is potentially happening for me.
Yeah.
So let's be as aware of it as I can. In the intuition I've been trying to step towards. This is the third time ayahuasca has spoken to me. I have this darkness journey I'm going on soon. I have business opportunities that are being presented towards me. So it's like there's
are
a very
moving.
good, impactful change that's happening in the wake of this terrible dramatics that's also happening.
Yeah.
So being aware of both and trying to find the balance and not trying to turn away from one to enjoy the other or get lost in one and ignore the other, right? I can easily get lost in my sorrow and my woe and turn a blind eye to all these opportunities that are coming towards me because I'm scared and I want to sabotage myself anyways. And this is just an excuse to do that. Right. So it's like, how do I do something different than I've done my entire fucking life? Embrace the sadness. Got it. It's here. And use that sadness as a catalyst to move forward.
Yeah. Not, it doesn't have to all be bad.
Totally, right? The bad happens. It's the fucking principles of Buddhism, right? They fucking focus so much on sorrow. Sorrow for happiness. Well, here's the sorrow, right? It's just leading the way to the happiness. Makes the happiness that much sweeter.
Yeah, I didn't even really ponder the going into an ayahuasca retreat with kind of some, you know, potentially negative emotions that are just very much fresh.
It was very
Yeah.
present.
Like, that's fucking, you know.
But I needed that. Like, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that to make sure that I wasn't skirting this, right?
Yeah.
Because just like when
Take
my
it
mom
head
passed
on,
away.
I guess, yeah.
Well, like when my mom passed away, like, my dad died, I broke down. I went under. Drank, cried, moved away from emotions, turned into a shittier human being. My mom died, and it was okay. Like, it was okay.
You're in a different place.
But I was scared that I wasn't seeing something. I was scared that I didn't like let the emotions happen. And so I kept opening the door, and I kept talking to people, and I kept like presenting the emotion to be there, to be as dramatic as I expected it to be.
So you're not like gonna have it like I had a friend who dealt with it. It just snuck up on him.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
just something just triggered and it fucked him up like 3 months after.
Totally.
Like, you think that you're doing really well, but really you're suppressing it.
You just
Exactly.
haven't
Yeah,
even dealt with it.
I know
It's like
exactly what
like
you're
in my
talking about.
meditations, like I'll pull my mom's ashes over and
Yeah.
like sit with her ashes.
Yeah.
And, like look at my mom and dad's picture. It's right there on the
Yep.
fucking like.
Well, and just like TV, I'm supposed to be this way.
Exactly,
I'm
exactly.
supposed to
I'm
mourn
supposed
this
to fall
way.
apart.
Everyone I know mourns this
Yep.
way. Why am I not mourning this way? Am I? Yeah, yeah.
So that never like I never had that big emotional breakdown, but I feel very at peace
Yeah.
with my mom's passing, and same with this situation with Mon. Like it's emotional. It sucks. It's terrible. It's uncoupling from an 8.5-year relationship. There's friends, family. There's all this stuff, and I'm sad, but it's also not as devastatingly apparent as previous relationships have been. You know, so that's a bit of a growth, right? And so like this sucks, that's sad, but kind of like good for you. You're witnessing your growth.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you know.
And that was like my first instinct when I was notified about it was just like, I should be more devastated for them, but I know both of them are going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like sad for you, but I know where you are in your journey right now. And, you know, my first thought was worried about you. And then I was like, oh no, Adam's going to be fine. It's going to suck and it's going to hurt, but he's going to be fine.
But also, people, you guys check in.
Yeah.
Like Robin, you hadn't known yet, so.
Yeah.
But you've checked in a few times, and that's exactly what needs to happen. Like people check in, and then it gives me the opportunity to either go to that place I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or give an honest answer because somebody asked an honest question.
Yeah.
Right. And that honest answer allows me to look at my emotion for that moment in time and say, no, I'm kind of sad right now. Yeah. Or actually, I'm okay.
Right.
I'm doing okay right now.
Well, not like being like you'll be fine, like it doesn't matter kind of a thing. It's like this is not going to end Adam, right. Or this is not going to end Monica. Like there are some people that go through breakups where I'm like, and have gone through breakups and divorces where I'm like, oh, this is who he's going to be for the rest of his life. He will never recover from this. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is growth opportunity moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was again one of the reasons I wanted to sit with Aya was to make sure that I wasn't.
You're on a
hiding.
first name basis with that shit.
But yeah, it was a beautiful experience, and it really kind of helped me get past a lot of the preconceived notions I had about the religion thing, and it helped me get a good understanding of like what my relationship now is with it. And this isn't saying that like I'm going to go and preach the fucking Portuguese Christian gospel and that stuff, but I think it helped me soften my vehemency against like organized religions.
Yeah.
Because like people are just doing what they can, and it was very beautiful, the container they created, and something actually you guys both know her, Andy Hastings. Remember Andy Hastings?
Yeah.
Right? Because Red Hook is when I first started like my spiritual kind of ideas and stuff. And I have this problem with the word God. Like it's really just overplayed. And I have this white God vision in my head, and it doesn't work for me. No. And she told me one time, she was like, we're having a conversation. She's like, whenever you hear the word God, just replace it with self. Mm-hmm. And because you are the God of your own universe, right? Yeah. And that's not an egoic thing. It's just like that's you're creating this entire universe around you.
The truth,
right?
Yeah.
You're sensing it through your nervous system. It's all yours, right? Just like your universe is yours. Everybody's is different. So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Replace God with the word self. Okay, pray to the self, right? Yes, because I want the self to be happy. So yeah, I can do that. I can get that my head around that. So it's nice to just to have those lenses start to be revealed a little bit more for what they were.
Yeah.
And it's just like a filter that was put over a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So, real quick, and this is just a random fucking weird thought I have, because due to legality around an ayahuasca ceremony, doesn't it have to actually have some sort of like kind of religious thing attached to it?
Yes.
So you can't just be like, all right,
hey
boys,
guys,
we're going to start with Dark Side of the Moon. I'll see you at the wall.
Well, so there are very much that application as well. More of the ayahuascarians where they're holding space, singing the Icaros, stuff like that. But this church is a recognized church. They when their ayahuasca brews come in, they come in checked in through the DEA. They get tagged. They get brought to the churches. The churches are then inventoried from them.
Yeah.
So it's a whole legit. Like it's a very
No, I know. So,
yeah.
But there are places, in the States that operate outside of that and have, like more of the traditional,
go to the yurt.
like Peruvian, ayahuasca journeys and stuff. And, and again, like egoically, that was my idea. I'm like, no, I'm going to go sit with an ayahuascarian. I'm going to be in a hut on a fucking rice mat and blah, blah, all this shit. Like, it's like, get out of your
Part of me
way.
wants running water if I'm going to get
medicine.
fucking sick.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty bad
honestly,
Yorkin?
No, not that bad. Not that bad. And it was the third serving.
Quite honestly, I don't want to be in a hot, humid place.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
Did I miss that part? You're in a hot fucking hut?
No, just like when people travel to South America to do ayahuasca and they do it outside and it's in the whatever.
Already.
And I was like, just four walls and you're out in the nature, which I know is the whole point. So you're connected with nature. But I'm like, I'd be thinking the whole time, I'm so goddamn hot. I'm so goddamn hot. I'm so goddamn hot.
So you wouldn't though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Other things.
Like going into it, maybe that, but like as soon as the medicine took you, it's like But that's the beautiful thing about opening yourself up to the experience of what presents itself to you, and not trying to search something out that might be outside of your comfort zone or what your like expectations are. Like, love the Macklemore line: expectations are resentments waiting to happen. Right? So. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the fact that it is attached to something that has a trigger tendency of church and hymns and all that, I think that would be interesting for me too, because that in itself would be healing, to find a safe space in a place that I don't deem safe in my memories.
Right.
So that's kind of a nice,
yeah, it was really cool. And the container that they created, super safe. And man, it was amazing.
How long was the actual, like, you were tripping? Like, was it all 7 hours? Was it 3 and just kind of recovery time?
6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started.
Pretty big peak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Biggest peak you've had?
No.
Is it
Because you've done some pretty heavy doses of psilocybin, so like and I mean.
But again, like I think it was like a familiar, like we were getting familiar with one another.
Are
it's
you
like,
seeing
let's
things
see.
like you would when you take mushrooms, or talking to things, or is it more of just your brain kind of going in different?
There was, so at the dosages that I took, there were a lot of similarities that I would say between the psilocybin journeys I've had and the ayahuasca journey that I experienced. And it was just my first time with the ayahuasca, but there were a lot of similarities, but also I could see that there was a lot more opportunity for like face-to-face contact with something. Mm-hmm. Whereas with my big journeys with psilocybin personally, it's always been for me like a so the mama mushroom, whatever you want to call her, but like when I go into my like when it starts to peak, like I feel this like being wrap me up.
Yeah.
But I can't see it, but I feel it wrap me up. I'll get information through osmosis, where it's like being transferred to me, but I won't see a being.
It's like
I'll have
spirit
conversations
versus being.
Yeah, like I'll definitely have conversations. Like there was one time where I was in like a hall of all these other beings, and I couldn't see them, but I was being berated for fucking up Earth. And they're basically blaming all of Earth's plight, the racism, everything
concrete
on me.
just blows my mind when I'm
tripping.
Totally, man. I was like, what the fuck, man? No, you can't blame this shit on me. I'm doing my best. This is all of us. You might
and
have
I'm not even the worst one here.
Andromeda Galaxy, you might have that,
fucking
but like,
jet-setting lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, like, and it was, I can't believe I haven't told you this. This is fucking awesome. So, I was like 7 grams of mushrooms. Like, I was
that is double my biggest fucking trip
Yeah,
I've ever
I can't.
had. That is
so
huge.
I'm around. I'm at the old house around the fireplace downstairs. Nobody home, just me, raining outside. Just it's crazy. So I'm having that conversation, right? I'm in this council of elders, and I can't see anybody, and it's very light and like pillar-esque and shit. And I just have these voices that are telling me how shitty of a job I'm doing managing Earth, right? And I'm like, fuck you, my whole like
I'm only one man.
like, oh, I'm doing my best, and it's all of us. And then all of a sudden, like there was a loud thunder or a clap or something happened, and I went from that to being Adam. Just all of a sudden, I'm back to being me, very coherent and aware that I'm on a very big dose of mushrooms, but I'm aware of me again.
Right.
Not this state of mind I was in. I was naked.
Yeah.
There was rain. The doors are open. Don't know how that happened. And I'm wandering around the house, like, in just me and Olive, wandering around the house.
Well,
I'm trying to figure...
Doors are open.
Doors
You're
are open.
Tripping balls, naked.
Fucking doors are open. I can make it to the front door and shut that, but the back door is open. I'm like, okay, cool.
Holy shit.
And I'm wandering around just like looking at my neighbors across the street.
No shit, dude. I know your old house. Like,
I know, it's right front.
Looking at Mickey and Julie's house, like they're never going to talk to me again. I don't know how to ever communicate with humans again. This is the fucking crazy. And I went and looked in the mirror, and it probably lasted
Don't look
for
at
like
the mirror on
15
shrooms.
minutes.
Oh, I
Don't
looked in the
do
mirror
that.
the last time I did shrooms, and I was like terrified at first, and then I couldn't stop.
No
So
good.
I think it probably lasted 15 minutes, but it felt like an hour. And so I go in the bathroom, look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm like trying to rationalize how to have a conversation with Olive. And this is all, again, very aware of what's happening. And then I go back to the Council of Elders.
Nice.
And I'm like, don't you ever fucking do that to Adam again.
Opening my doors?
How dare you do that to this man? You know how fragile he is. It's like, God damn it, man.
So I go back to the Council of Elders. 7 grams of shrooms.
by yourself.
Yeah, dude,
shit.
Unsupervised. Olive does not count.
That's
and then
so
when I was coming
funny.
down, I watched the Matrix trilogy.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's great.
Just,
No fucking.
just questioning.
I mean, I think I would honestly put me down for watching the first movie 3 times.
Well, see, that's why I made
That's
myself
what the
do it. 'Cause
trilogy
I'm like,
is,
I'm
right?
watching the story.
yeah, it's the first movie 3 times.
Here I am.
Are there
I'm
more?
Neo. And then
Yeah.
you just watch him figure it out again.
Yeah.
And then
It's the
again.
black cat again, right? Yeah, the black cat's coming
Actually,
again.
I heard a story the other day that because the directors of the movie transitioned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the brothers, now they're
They
the
were sisters,
right?
Yeah.
And somebody put it together that movie's about transgenderism and presented to the Kowalski.
I want to say Wachowski.
Yeah, sisters, and they were like, "Oh my god, yeah, it totally is."
Subconsciously,
Yeah.
they wrote,
100%,
even before
yeah.
they knew it, that is some
Really
powerful
interesting.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
God.
And you
Well, now I
took
wanna do
7
ayahuascas.
grams of shrooms to
Yeah.
get to that. Fucking thank God.
Like, wow, it is about
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't wait to see what you do with the 3 Crocodile Dundee movies. I forgot about the third one,
the third
Beverly
one.
Hills.
Yeah.
Or LA. Might be LA.
Yeah.
LA, I think.
I never saw it.
There's Mr. Dundee now too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
He couldn't use the word crocodile Dundee because
No,
it was
some,
trademarked.
yeah,
yeah.
Mr.
MGM
Dundee.
probably owns that or
Yeah.
whoever. I think I've seen the second Crocodile Dundee movie. Like, it's one of those that I've seen, like RoboCop 2. I've seen that one 5 or 10 to 1
Yeah.
more than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one's okay, but that second one's great.
Second, yeah, where he's like, he fucking summons the animals with the fucking, like, the fucking,
Yeah.
like, thank you.
Yep.
I'm so glad that we all know that movie as well as I
Exactly.
do.
I've heard that that noise in spiritual journeys before.
Nice.
And do you immediately start wanting to laugh?
I do.
Yeah, because
Dude,
it just immediately goes
so
back.
I was
yeah.
I was at Vipassana once the first time we did Vipassana, and it was like day 8 or 9 where I could finally get my shit back together, and I had this really beautiful meditation, like just sat and like all the things happened and like the lights came on and I just felt good about life. And so I was like, cool, I'm gonna go for a walk. And so I went this walking path, and right adjacent to the walking path there was there's like this little wooded area you can walk through. And right when I walked, I stepped 1 foot in there. There was like this branch. It's like HD ultra, just like just went into my face, and I could see like the dew on the moss. And I'm not on any drugs. I've not had anything in my system for about 10 days now, or at that point. And but it was just like that tapped in. And so all this stuff just started like this. The forest came alive in front of me. It was so cool. And then I heard that noise, that whoomp, 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 whoomp. And I'm like, what is that? Is that Mick Dundee above me? Like, what the
This
fuck?
is a
And I looked
knife.
up and it was a raven flying over me. And I could feel the waft of its wings, like, 20 feet above me?
Yeah.
And hear that's the noise
Yeah.
it was making. And it was like, wow, I don't want to stop this. This
Yeah.
is a great way to live
So,
life right now.
I've heard about this fucking room, and I think it's Finland or whatever. It's the quietest room in the
yeah.
world or whatever. It's supposed to actually make you go nuts. Like, people can't
can
handle
hear
it.
What does that
organs.
even feel like? Like you feel your heart or
Yeah,
hear
you
your heart or
hear
your
lungs
blood
expand.
and
You
wild.
can, and so what? One of the things they're working with that, because I can't really put a finger on why it's driving people crazy, but most of us are kind of sick.
We can't sit in silence.
And no, so most of us are physically sick.
Oh.
And when you get that quiet, you can start to hear
Where
the
shit's-
sickness of yourself. Like your body gives off, and that's one of the things with sound therapy that they're working with on a medical level right now. Is that so? Let's say I have a sick liver, I have cirrhosis of the liver, right? And say Robin's got a healthy liver, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to record the frequencies of Robin's liver, right? Healthy liver. They're going to record that into.
I actually have one now.
Yeah, right? And even though like they might put off frequencies that we can't hear, we can still record them, and then they'll play that into my ear with my unhealthy liver, and then my liver will hear that and be like, "Hey, we don't sound like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we should sound like that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's sound like that.
Yeah.
And then they start to sound like
I
that. And then,
fully believe that 1,000%
Yeah.
that is
that's like
that
John
works.
Hopkins is doing shit like that.
Yeah.
you know?
Like the world operates on vibration. And so 10 years ago, if someone said that to me, I'm like, you're fucking nuts. But now I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
Yes, it does.
Hand to God.
Yeah.
Hand
Hand
to
to
self.
God.
Yeah,
And
the
the self.
the other interesting one that I've been reading about for sound healing is with dealing with tumors. So think about like an opera singer, we all see the opera singer singing and the glass shatters, right?
Yeah.
So that's the idea of a counter frequency. So the opera singer sings something and it's singing at this frequency, and the glass holds this counter frequency, and because it can't reach the frequency it needs to, it can't hold the energy and it shatters.
Right.
They're testing that theory with sound and tumors. So tumors have a counter frequency, just like
opera singers are going to be the new doctors.
Oh, I think I think they're trying to do that with like prostate and shit.
Yep.
They're trying to like blast
because
shit.
if you can find the counter frequency of that tumor, you can blast it with that. It'll destroy it. And then your body just shuffles it out instead of having to go.
It doesn't feel
good. Wouldn't that be just the ultimate, like, we've had this cure for cancer and we keep thinking we just put poison in our bodies and have to spend thousands of, millions of dollars thrown at it.
You just need Wynton Marsalis to
truly
hit like
just need a fucking musician. Like, oh my, like.
Oh, if you know anyone who could
I want to live in that world.
F-sharp solo on the Les Paul.
Can we get Joni Mitchell in here? We got a prostate.
I am so glad you brought up Joni Mitchell.
Did you see the Grammys?
Okay. No, but I got some amazing Joni Mitchell shit. So
I can't believe you waited this long to tell me.
Are you familiar with the album she wrote, released about my stepbrother, my stepsister? I'm sorry about this. I'm going to need to pull this up.
But I did hear Joni Mitchell is making a comeback and had like her
Thanks
vocal
to Brandy
coaches.
Carlisle.
The vocal coach, Brandy Carlisle, Marcus Mumford.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have brought her back to life. It's
1977 album called Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. Are you familiar with this at all?
Okay, no, I guess not.
Okay, so it's pretty funny because if you look at the cover of this album right here, that on the far left there is Joni Mitchell in blackface, dressed as a African American male. She did this as a Halloween costume and then really vibed with it.
Sure.
And so, again, I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
But, I guess, and this is just what I heard. I haven't read any of this, but she's kind of been asked about this in the past.
Okay.
And opposed to, what I would think, regardless of how you feel, kind of the game you play now is you just apologize, whether you give a shit or not. You say, I'm sorry. 1977 was a long time ago. But now she kind of says that she identifies as a black male. And I have a difficulty with that.
Don't believe that?
You're going to need to do some digging. That's going to be a podcast.
I've never heard that
before.
So, okay, maybe that can be our next episode.
On that one.
Well, Kathy Griffin pulled that shit too in like the early 2010s where she had a whole comedy show called Strong Black Woman, and she was like, I'm a strong black woman in my spirit. And I look back and like when it came out I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. And then that was like 20 years ago, and looking at it now and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, so Joni doesn't really like to talk about it now. But it's pretty funny. She doesn't she says that maybe
she doesn't think that anymore, but doesn't feel the need to address it anymore.
What I heard was that it was said is when I see a black man walking down the street, I give him a what's up, and I'm just going. I don't think that's perceived the way you think. That's
at the end of the day,
Joni.
Boomers gonna be boomers, even if you're a fucking Joni Mitchell.
It's like the hip hop dance lady.
Oh, this is hip hop.
Turn your
the
feet
pants,
out.
yeah.
You gotta bounce when you walk.
Yeah.
That's hip hop.
Move your shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm sure I am going.
You got to dig on that one.
I will dig into it, but I can maybe see where she's like, we're all connected. I've had struggles. You've had struggles. Not the same struggles. I want to make that clear.
Right.
But it's just like in her mind, like I resonate more with this
extremely
group
wealthy
than
white woman.
Yeah, I'm not explaining it away. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand where she's coming from.
That mentality that you just spoke of, you see a lot with that generation.
Of course.
I'm not the problem. No, I support and I recognize,
How much
it's
time
like
do we
you don't.
have left? Because I want to get into something that goes along.
Dude, it's so funny. I was going to bring this shit up even before we podcast. I wanted to do.
All right, well, I got homework to do now.
Don Juan's
nothing will break.
Daughter.
Nothing will break my Joni Mitchell love. But this is interesting, and
So the song Coyote, I'm like, is that about her being a coyote? Taking people across the border? Is that her identifying?
No, it's not, Robin.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So here's the thing about
or
people
is that
thinking...
actually an animal?
actually an animal.
Okay.
Yeah. They metaphorically. So people of all generations claiming to be allies, but doing things that are not ally or with best intentions thinking they are doing. So there's a video going around TikTok right now that's kind of went viral in the lesbian community. There is a woman named Lexi who posted a video about going to a gay bar with her, or a lesbian bar, very important, the Cubbyhole in New York City. Cubbyhole is a very small lesbian bar. There are only 27 lesbian bars in the entire United States. There's not even one estate. Like they are few and far between.
Wild Rose, right?
Yes, which I also have a story about that. So this woman posts a video saying, like, my lesbian friend invited me to the Cubbyhole. I went, and then she invited her straight cis male friend to come join them. And there was a lesbian that was waiting for the bathroom that saw this cis hetero guy and approached him and was like, "Hey, are you here with anybody?" And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm with," pointed out the lesbian that he was with. Yeah. And so she was like, "Oh, okay. I just wanted to, check," which in my lesbian mind is like, "Oh, she's checking for safety of everybody." Like, Okay. And so she goes off on this, the straight woman goes off on this lesbian woman for confronting her straight male friend, saying that, like, "What, are we straight people not allowed in gay bars? You're causing problems." She's like,
yeah, that's where I saw the keyboard warriors going.
Right. And so she kind of posted this question, like, are straight people not allowed in lesbian bars? And the answer is not really. Like, of course you can, but should you?
I was going to say, I've never been to the Wild Rose.
Well, here's the thing. So there's a guy at work who is very, very straight guy. And he went out with his friends one night, and he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I didn't know the Wild Rose was a gay bar." And so we were standing in line, and the bouncer told us, like, "Hey, this is a lesbian bar, right? I just want to let you know." And he goes, "Oh, no, I didn't know that." And he was like, "I knew the friends that I was with, and I knew it was a lesbian bar." And we turned around and walked away because this was not going to be a good mix for the kind of guys I was with.
Yeah.
But he had the wherewithal to know, hey, could we go into the bar? Sure. Were they not letting him in? No. Right. Did they notify him what was happening? Of course. Like, there was not a probably physical safety concern, but, you just can't exist as a lesbian in straight man bars without getting hit on, without getting approached, without getting, just all violence is always a issue with women across the board. So it's like we have so few safe spaces in this country, literally 27 in the country. Right. There are millions of bars in New York City. There's 3 bars in New York City for lesbians specifically, and there are a multitude of like gay bars for men, but bisexuals. There's just not a lot for lesbians. And so if someone approaches you in a lesbian bar to ask like what you're doing there, we're not doing it in the sense of like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Right, get out, go back to where you came from," kind of thing. It's like we're doing it to like check for our own safety. Like Definitely. If there's a random hetero dude in a lesbian bar and he's not there with anybody, that's concerning. Right. So the fact that this woman who probably was like, "I have a lesbian friend, I'm an ally," but like you don't, and then the thing that stood out in the video was she was like, "I was nice to her until I wasn't." And I was like, that is why straight people need to not be in gay bars, because you are nice until it becomes uncomfortable for you. Right. When we are just trying to have the one very few spaces that we have in, to be ourselves in. Right. And the same thing with bachelorette parties at gay bars. It always bothered me. And it's like, yes, of course you can have your bachelorette party at a gay bar, but this was before, 2015. Gays were not allowed to get married. So you're just flaunting this thing that we are not able to do.
Oh, fuck.
And no one thinks about that because straight people exist. The entire world is your safe space. Yeah. Right. So you're not going in with bad intentions. Yep. You don't think twice about it. But there are things that, like, you are a guest. You are a guest and you need to, wipe your shoes off. You need to be extra vigilant. Right, you need to, like,
it's interesting.
This is not your space.
Because when you were describing, kind of like the lesbian bar, and I was sitting there going, well, I've been to gay bars, I don't fucking drink anymore, but and never had any of that vibe at all. But I'm also a dude, so I don't know how much that is. Now, would a straight woman going into a lesbian bar, obviously that's not going to raise any red flags because they're not going to know instantly.
Sure. Just
in my mind,
But the it is a big part of it was the physical safety factor with the straight male. What bothers me about straight women in gay bars is that or even in gay bars or lesbian bars, what I hear the most from straight people is, this is where I feel safe. Right. Men don't hit on me. And I'm like, bitch, why do you think we're here? Like, we are here because we can't go anywhere else. And I understand that you feel like that there is not another space for you, but in reality, there is. And I don't, like I said, I don't have any problem with straight people at gay bars, but you need to act like you are a guest in that bar. And there are a lot of straight women that come in, like the woman that was like, I'm nice until I'm not. Or, you know, if someone hits on you, like, if you're a woman in a lesbian bar and you get hit on and you take that poorly or something like that, like there's always like variables that I don't know how you're going to react. And if you're here, I'm assuming you're lesbian or on the you know, LGBTQ something.
Best pours I've ever had. Gay bars.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like fucking insane pours.
Yeah. And
insane.
I just they have become more of a space for everybody.
Fucking party. Holy shit, does a gay bar know how to party?
They don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I've only been to the only times I've been to gay bars were with my gay friends. They
Yeah.
invited me out.
Yeah,
Sure. Hey, come to Neighbors.
Right.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Neighbors are our
absolutely.
place,
And I'm not saying
our
it's
place,
not allowed,
totally.
but like when you are in a queer space, make note of that in your brain that you are in a queer space.
We were like guests with see, that's the thing. Is like I wasn't
There's nothing wrong with that.
But see, like as a straight dude, like with like presumably most of the time, all my other hetero friends were not just like, all right, let's go to fucking Neighbors.
Right.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Now,
Well, and that guy that I work with that was with all of his like, you know, bro guys that night, he was like, we're definitely not coming in. Like we're not, that's not a great choice for us. And I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And it kind of surprised me from the kind of guy that he is. Like that surprised me he'd made that choice. And I was like, man, okay, he was conscious enough to have the wherewithal to be like, there are better choices for us.
I would have walked my ass right in there, asked for the remote, and put fucking NASCAR on.
Oh, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I'd have been like, sweet. Can we get the sound on? That's my stuff.
You got like do you have a Toby Keith concert on rerun or something we can throw up there?
I'll drink coffee.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I know.
Actually,
that was the first time I thought good about a musician when he died.
So my opinion on Toby Keith changed a little bit after Steve Colbert did his like a little kind of eulogy for him last night.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Was there some shit about Toby Keith?
Well, no,
he's a piece of shit.
Well, he's just,
really?
you know, he's
racist, homophobic. He also was like a huge part of the Dixie Chicks downfall.
See, that's the thing.
Like
is,
he started up shit with Dixie Chicks.
Yeah, this was after. And I was literally talking about this morning. This was after. It's probably like 05, 06. So this is like after we had already gone to Iraq War, but then we found out we weren't we were kind of duped into going there.
Yeah. Weapons of mass destruction, all that shit.
And then there was kind of two different camps. We're there, let's go. Toby Keith, Dixie Chicks. That's fucking bullshit. Fuck you. Okay. That's kind of where I was.
He has a song called the Taliban song, where he just makes fun of Muslim and Arab people. Yeah. Like it's horrible.
Wow.
He was not my favorite dude.
All right.
So when I found out he passed away, I was like,
yeah, I lost track of him after the 90s.
Yeah, yes, you should.
I remember
Red Solo Cup.
Well, I didn't even know that was him. I know the song, but I remember I saw him one time at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo back in like 97 or 98.
You've seen some fucking shows.
And I think it was like him and Reba McEntire.
Oh shit.
But Toby Keith was so drunk he forgot all the words to his song.
Cool.
So he just kind of wandered around the stage like just strumming his guitar. Country kid.
All you gotta say is America, veterans. Like that's all you gotta say. Yeah.
And I think I was like 18 at the time, so like get the fuck off here.
Yeah. So I'm glad he's in a better place and not here causing any more trouble.
Yeah, Steve Colbert, good friend.
Okay, well, I got stuff on him too. He's very Catholic, and that kind of bothers me.
He's very unabashedly still devoted to that.
Yeah, that's a red flag for me.
Structure of faith.
Yeah,
and the Lord of the Rings. That man has so much depth in J.R.R. Tolkien.
Well, because that's a Christian story at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus,
crazy.
is it?
Yeah, Tolkien was like, it's basically the...
Well, didn't Tolkien have a bunch of... Well, I mean, he's also... Yeah, I'm sure
it was his and Narnia books.
Yeah.
They're both like very entrenched in Christian under...
That's why I like his Dark Materials.
That's same. Like, I love it.
Fuck you,
Philip Pullman.
I love that series. It's good stuff. All right, well, we didn't get to your topic at all.
That's okay. Well, now we have something for next time.
Joni Mitchell. Go dig into
Oh,
that.
don't ruin my world.
Yeah.
It won't. Nothing could break my Joni.
It's good. The more you dig on that, you're just going to be like, no, that's not what you
nope.
say. That's not how you handle it.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, maybe we should just do an episode about the stars that fell in our eyes.
Oh, that's an easy one. But yeah, it's good.
Okay.
But see, the thing is, like, that level of scrutiny, and I think we say this every time because people get disgraced. We've done this fucking podcast for a while now. It's like, oh, well, so-and-so's fucked up now.
Yeah.
Like, I know...
Nicki Minaj for me right now is really
Lizzo's
disappointing
now
me.
kind of in hiding and shit because of all that. She's got that sexual harassment thing. Which I think we talked about that, didn't we?
And just being pieces of shit to her dancers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well.
Yeah.
This is all news to me.
So I know we're over our allotted time, but I just do want to add.
We gotta go.
I just want to add really quick. I am a Barb. I love Nicki Minaj. She is a hot mess sometimes, but this was the first time because she released a diss track on Megan Thee Stallion, who.
Oh.
And it.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. It flopped harder than anything I've ever heard from anyone. It was
kind of like Ether.
She spent she spent
Jay-Z,
a minute and 30 seconds whispering, just talking, no track, just talking shit, like nonsense, just absolute nonsense for a minute and a half. And she sounded like she's in the middle of a manic episode, to be quite honest. And I have tickets to her show in March, and I am so worried that it is going to affect the quality of the show. So I am here to set my intention that Nikki will have a great show in Seattle, and that we will not hear a word of this Megan nonsense. Yeah, I'll make you listen to the tracks. They're wild. And then Megan released one, and it knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Just knocked it out of the park.
All right.
But
Fucking
Nikki's
love.
fallen a little bit for me right now. I'm a little disappointed as a Barb right now, but
It's been a while since I've heard a good diss track. So,
well, Megan's got a good one right now.
all right.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right.
Cool. Well, we'll talk about it next time.
Okay. Ayo.